Well, we're all about turtles today. I feel left out. I don't have a turtle today.
Well,
That's great. I get to hold the
Okay,
old.
there you go.
Well,
there
we
you go.
love, this is a great learning opportunity. We're going
Yes.
to talk about this in a moment, but first we have to talk about these little guys that we have. Kristen is here from the Center for Wildlife, and we love Lotus and Blossom.
They're so sweet. So they're Eastern painted turtles. Both of them came to us because they had been kept in captivity and they were in poor conditions. Blossom, you can see her shell curves up. She was malnourished, and this would go down and give her protection, so her whole body is exposed there. And then poor Lotus was actually found. We named her Lotus because out of the mud comes these beautiful flowers, and she was found by a real estate broker who was like going to look at a foreclosed house, saw a tank with black water in it, and then saw the water moving, and Lotus was in there. She had been abandoned.
And is that some warped?
Yes, warped. You can see her shell doesn't shed the way that it should.
Okay.
It's been getting better over time. It's also like too small for her body.
Right, I can see she's kind of popping out a little bit.
So they're both like kind of good examples, sad stories. They're both in great health now, and they're very happy living where they do, and they get fresh food and great basking platforms. But they are good examples of like why it's so important to love wildlife and turtles in the wild.
Leave them,
leave them there, because they do not make good pets.
Yeah, let me ask you something. They're really active right now.
Yes.
Is that just because they're being held and they can't walk around, or I mean, why? I mean, this one's going crazy right here. The kitty house.
now
They're
she's
both
calm.
social, and then you know, it's getting to be spring, so even though they're indoors, like it's still the, you know, outside ambient temperature has been cold, so they're like waking up and they're like, oh, it's spring.
I want to go out and have some fun. Yeah.
Party time.
We're on live TV.
I think they wanted to watch Miss Congeniality later. They told me.
Describe the perfect date. They love it. Not too hot, not too cold.
Right.
All you need is a light shell. Tell us about what you brought today too.
Yes.
And how you use this, you know, as like learning, you know, educational.
Yeah. So we're moving into turtle season. So turtles have been hibernating. The aquatic species, which you can tell these guys are aquatic by the webbing on their feet. Aquatic species were under the water, under the mud, breathing through their skin and their cloaca. The other turtles, like our snappers, were just like under the earth, and they're waking up right now, and it's so funny when they first wake up because they have had like an entire ecosystem like growing off their back.
Gosh.
So they like wake up and they have leaves and moss, and they're so they're moving from their hibernating spots across the road. Sometimes if a road was built in between the hibernating and then where they're going to be for the spring and summer. So we're seeing there's like 3 movements of turtles. One will start exactly now, waking up out of hibernation, going over to that water source. Then we're going to start seeing end of May into June, moms going to lay their eggs. So I brought these guys today to talk about it's important to just move them across the road in the direction that they're facing. And I just love the snapping turtles. I mean, they're giant ancient creatures. You can see they have the throwbacks to the dinosaurs and the spikes on their shell and on their tail. They get a bad rap. People say like they snap and they're mean. These
Only
guys,
when they're threatened,
right? Exactly. They're
How
afraid.
How old can they live? Like these?
This species is typical of like 50 to 60 years.
Wow.
Some of our, like the box turtles and the Blandings turtles, can live upwards of 100 years.
Wow.
And then snappers, you know, alligator snapping turtles, which are farther south, over 100 years. In our region, we definitely have seen some really old individuals, but they're typally, again, more like 60 to 70 years.
They're doing something right, outliving most humans, right? I mean, come
Oh,
on.
definitely. And you have some events going on, and it's school vacation week still for some families. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so school break week, and then so we are open all week. Our nature center is open all week, and then we have been adding break week camps, so people should keep an eye out for that. And tomorrow we have Conservation Day. We expect probably about 200 people.
Wow.
We have 15 conservation partners that are doing land trusts, biologists, other wildlife rehabilitators, Avian Haven, Misfits Wildlife Rehab, and Wilderness Miracles will also be there. So it's a 10 to 4. and there's stuff for kids and adults as well. So we have that. We have forest bathing next weekend.
Ooh.
And lots of like vernal pool and just kind of spring outdoor opportunities just to get connected in nature.
We have 10 seconds. Why do they pull their head inside? Is that just because they're tired, they're scared, what?
If they get nervous.
They get nervous, okay.
Yes, yeah. And they have skin that covers it, and so it's called a turtleneck.
There's the turtleneck. I know. When you see it up close, you're like, that makes sense. That's why it's
sometimes
a
I wish I could do that, to take a nap or whatever, right?
Oh, and what's your website so people can find out more about all the events coming up?
Yep, so it's thecenterforwildlife.org.
All right, Lotus, Blossom, Kristen, thank you so much, everybody, for being here.
They're ready for a walk.
I know.
Hey, coming up after the break.